Good morning, everybody. It's about 7:30 in the morning today, and we're going to do a garden update. This is about the middle of May. You can see it's a lot greener than last time we viewed it. So we've got zucchinis and tomatoes. Tomatoes, zucchinis, tomato, zucchini, tomato, zucchini, tomato. These gray wire baskets are peppers. I think that's a melon. Let's get back in focus here. Got green beans with 2 eggplants in there and a couple of, looks like there's a watermelon right there, and this is a pumpkin, and there's a pumpkin on the corner of each one. That's another pumpkin there. Those are the type that you make pie out of rather than, Halloween pumpkin lanterns. The berry bushes in the background and the apple tree that has some pretty good apples on it right now. There's looks like a rogue carrot back there. And there's a lot of grass growing up there in the back. On this side, this gray trellis is going to have let's see where my finger is. These are going to be melons, and they're on both sides there. There's melons and there's loofah. The melons, it's going to be watermelon and cantaloupe, I believe. And then, of course, the lettuce in the middle down here. We're going to harvest some of that today. Back side here. Got some nice bulb flowers along the fence here that are coming up, but they just now, this one's starting to get some buds on it. This vining blackberry is just starting to have, or has been flowering for the last week. So there'll be some good berries on it later this year. I'm going to flip behind me to the grapevine. You see the whole thing first. And I'll kind of get close here so you can see the little baby grapes that are on it. If I won't get that far, babies. Now, I've had problems last year with the mice running along the fence and getting here and eating all the grapes. So, first I thought the birds were going to be the problem, but it turned out it's the mice. So, I need to come up with a little solution for that. Right, peeking over the fence again. Got some more. These are some indeterminate tomatoes. So my hope is when they grow tall that the cages on both sides and the top, of course, will be able to help support their bulk. And then this is basically a vegetable jungle. It's got, it looks like zucchini, some melons, some radishes, and some beets. And maybe a tomato. Nope, that might be a marigold showing through. A little bit of everything's in that pile. This bucket has some herbs planted in it, as well as not sure if those are going to be pumpkins or if that's zucchini. We'll see. This is the herb bucket from last year that survived the winter. So you can see some good basil growing in there, and it looks like it's gone to seed. Oh, sorry, that's not basil, that's sage. Sage growing in there. Basil's in the other bucket. Okay. All right. And these are the remnants of my pea plants. The dogs like peas, so I pulled them up and just let them finish eating the peas off the stem. So like this. I'll clean that up later. This was the cage that they were growing on. So a little bit of cleanup here in the back. Down in here, you can see that the celery, it's gone to seed. So I cleaned up the bases and took all the celery stalk off of it, except for the main branch. And then the seeding is happening up there. So when it gets dry, I'll collect the seeds and we'll get rid of these stalk and replant for next year. They like the cold weather, so they grow good during the winter, and then in the summer you can see they go to seed. Close up to the apples here. They're still pretty tiny. They're fairly small apples still. So. Right. We got some dill in this bucket. And then the basil is down here. I need to start nipping these off because when they start going to seed, it's going to turn the basil to be bitter. Right now it's sweet basil, so you gotta kind of prune them before they start seeding. And then buried in all that, we've got blueberry bushes. So this is blueberries. My blueberry bushes. Blueberries like acidic soil, so this bucket gets some fertilizer that's got the acidity in it to keep the blueberries happy. Right, these are the berry bushes. These are the dogs eating the berries off the berry bushes. I know wild animals like berries, and my animals like berries as much as humans do. So this bush is the sacrificial, let anything eat off of it bush. These ones are the ones I've been harvesting off of. I put the bird net over it to keep the birds off of it. And then I discovered that the dogs like eating the berries, so we put the extra fence around it to keep the dogs away. Been harvesting off of it every night. So this is the first thing in the morning. So last night, these berries weren't ripe. They were about this color. You can see that there's one that's starting to turn black. So by tonight, that one's probably ready to harvest as well. Then you've got some that are not even, just now turning pink instead of being green like that. So I'm thinking we have at least another week or so of harvesting on this section over here. So far I've got about a gallon Ziploc bag and a half. I probably would have had about 2 gallons Ziploc bags full, but I've given some away to different people. And then on this fence we have the last of the thorny blackberry bushes, and it has been flowering for about 3 weeks now. So it's still, you can see, has some flowers left on it, but it's already got the start of the baby blackberries. And because of the thorns, I don't like this bush. When it's tall and not secured to the fence, it would grab me every time. So I'm a little leery about having it here next year. And it's time to mow today, so I haven't debated whether to mow this over and that little sucker over, or let them come up and be berry bushes for next year. The debate is on. If they grow up, we're going to have to cage them like this and keep them secure to the wall so that the thorns don't get out of control. And then this is the last of the grapevines. He's a young guy, so he's still kind of doing his wild thing. And no grapes on him yet. And then back to the berries. These tall guys are next year's stalks. So they may fruit in the fall, possibly, from what I've been reading. But these guys did not fruit last fall, so I'm not expecting it. So I'm gonna get the lawn mowed, go about my day, and then tonight, about sunset, we'll come back and harvest all these berries that are going ripe. Excuse me, guys. Alright, put it down in here. We've got the strawberry patch, little strawberry patch. Now you can see some of the flowers sticking out the side there. There's so much leaves here that you can't see any of the other flowers. And I haven't had a good harvest this year, so I'm going to go ahead and prune those back. You're really not supposed to prune them until after you get berries, but because the flowers are so hidden, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. We've got some potatoes growing behind the trellis here, and a couple that are in front right here. And then these are all cucumbers for pickling and for slicing. Pickling on the left, slicing on the right. And back to the apple tree. And that's about it. That's the garden update for today. Hope you have a blessed day wherever you are.